You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome into the Toronto Sports Rush right here on the Bet Rivers Network. Hradek here with you, joined by my colleague at the NHL Network and longtime NHLer, also Stanley Cup champion, scored game-winning goal from my recollection in the Stanley Cup final Game 7 in 2003 against the Anaheim Ducks for the New Jersey Devils, Mike Rupp. Mike, thanks for the time today. We really do appreciate it. And, we talk a lot about, how the Leafs, the ups and downs of the Leafs season. And I will say, after watching the game against the Panthers on Tuesday night, it's been a bumpy start. I figured it would be a bumpy road this year, but I see a little light at the end of the tunnel for them, at least for now. It's been a good road trip. They finish up in Carolina on Thursday night here. So what do you make of the season so far? And do you agree? Do you see any light right now for the Leafs on this road trip that they're finishing up?
Yeah, I do. And some of that light is just because there's the door wide open in the East, I think is a big reason. I mean, for as much as probably Leaf fans want to feel like this season has been a real, I don't want to say disaster, but not what they were expecting.
Yeah. To
be sitting where you're at and just totally in the mix of it, you got to look at the glass half full. And I think as players, that's 100% the message you're trying to get across to that team and the organization is it doesn't matter what's happened. It matters how we adjust moving forward. So that win against the Florida Panthers, was big because no one wants to be sitting in the bottom of the standings in the Eastern Conference. But at the same time, I don't care, again, to always go back to the positive. I don't care who's missing from that team. This is a team that has been your Achilles heel in a lot of different ways. Yeah, there's an individual on that team who's been your Achilles heel for years as far as just having your number. And you got to win. You got to win, and that's all that matters right now. So I agree with you. I actually think this team does make the playoffs. I don't know to what level they are going to be as far as if you're going to consider them a contender or not. I think we could probably park that for now. But right now, they just got to start playing a right brand of hockey. And that was a big win for them.
It's funny because I think a lot of the discussion at the start of the year, at least the conversations I was in, I think you were in them as well, with the Leafs was that, Marner's gone. So, maybe the team isn't going to be as good in the regular season. And I felt there'd be more struggles because of that. But if they get to the playoffs, and we assumed that they would at the start of the season, it's been more of a challenge now. But you're of the mind now, you're like, yeah, I think they're going to get there. Do you stay on that same path, or do you agree that if they get to the playoffs, they could be a tougher out because they're built differently now?
I think it's because they're built differently now, but they're also going to have to be, I think, changed for what they're going through right now. I mean, struggles to struggle and have some adversity is always a good thing. So it's done again early in the season, and it looked ugly. On a lot of nights, it looks very ugly. I mean, there's been nights where the effort, you would maybe question just losing puck battles, just not defending, not getting goaltending. There's a bunch of different ways that this has looked, and they haven't been positive, but the whole point in all that is it should make you stronger if you handle it the right way. And I think that this is a team I think Craig Berube is the perfect coach for this team. I really, really do. It's going to take some time. I mean, they're trying to reinvent who they are. So to your point, what you said, I believe that fully. I believe if this team does get to the playoffs, I think that they will be suited to have a better chance at success. Now, does that mean it's going to happen? No, there's no guarantees with anything. But I feel like this is a thing personnel-wise. They're set up better in the future as just far as winning different ways. That hasn't looked the case right now. There's some depth pieces that you want more from, but at least you've got them on roster now. And if they could figure this out and get into the playoffs, that should make everybody's skin a little bit thicker, everybody to be a little bit more wiser, and I think most importantly, understanding who we are as a team. And that's something that they're still trying to figure out.
It's funny, Rupper, that little things sometimes can make a difference. They've had some injuries on the blue line. Tanev is skating, so he hope to get him back. Carlo, it looks like it's going to be a longer-term proposition. They pick up Troy Stecher off waivers from the Oilers. And, at least in the short term, who knows how it's going to play out over the rest of the 82-game season. We got 50-plus games to go, and then if they make the playoffs, you got to see where you're at. But he has been like a nice fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he seems like a really good team guy, which is always, I think, a good thing for teams as they push through, especially in the season where there's so many games. What do you make of Troy Stecher and his kind of emergence to be a helpful player on the back end for the Leafs?
I mean, it's to be able to get that when you have injuries from whomever, it's great. I mean, Troy Stetcher's been around a while, quite some time, and he's had a bunch of different roles. And he's been one. You want hunger in your lineup, and you're getting a guy that wants to. I don't want to say get his career back on track. He's kind of been an in and out guy, and he's hungry. And you're telling me playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, like you're talking original six, like there's something special. I can only equate it to playing for the New York Rangers. Yeah. And man, that's one thing in my career I wish I could have played for Toronto. Just to experience what it would be like for a second. Maybe I don't actually. No. Just you have pressure, but you're in the big leagues. It feels like you're in the big leagues even more so, and that's what I felt like when you stepped on the ice at MSG. So it's going to give for a new guy coming in. It's going to be this kind of new stage, and he does a little bit of everything. It's exciting, and you want excitement in your lineup, and he's a player that can do a little bit of everything. I actually like Eej. He's got some bite in his game. Mm-hmm. He's a little feistiness. Right now, it's just about how do you need me? What do you need me to do here? And he's trying to get himself and earn that trust where you can, once this team starts getting more and more healthy, that you want to be figured as part of the plan here. So I think he's been fantastic, and it's been an area that this team needs to be better in on the back end, and I think he's helped out.
How about the emergence now of a third line? Because I like to talk about slotting, right, a lot. Like just is your team slotted in the right way? Now they've had injuries on defense. There's no question that's juggled things around, and Stecher has helped. But the good news is Matthews, Tavares, now Nick Waugh, and Scott Laughton. Those guys are healthy. 1, 2, 3, 4 down the middle. And Waugh is playing on a line with McMahon and with Joshua, and Joshua seems to understand his role a little bit better now than he did at the start of the season. So all of a sudden now they can roll four lines that I think, can give you a hard time.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about that four down the middle, that's you don't get much better. I mean, I really don't think you do. And Nick Waugh, he's been so impressive in his time in Vegas, and you saw, dating back through a couple coaches there in Vegas. I always find it really interesting because sometimes you have a coach, and you have let's say for an example, like his situation, he had Pete DeBoer, and Pete loved Nick Waugh, used him in 100 different ways, and he was a very important piece to that team. So sometimes when you get a new coach in there, it doesn't always happen that way because they want to do things differently. They want to there's a reason why a coaching change happened, so you start switching some things up. Well, it didn't take long. I think Bruce Cassidy used Nick Waugh a lot of the same ways. Yeah. So it for me shows, all right, we've got two really successful coaches that believe in this guy the same way. So when he got to Toronto, I was thinking, this is exactly what they need. Now, it hasn't been puppies and rainbows. Like it's been an adjustment here for Nick. Nick Waugh, and I would say the same for Dakota Joshua. Those two guys, when they got those two guys, I was like, oh, here we go. Like, finally, I've been waiting for years for the Toronto Maple Leafs to invest more in their middle six or bottom six. Middle six or bottom six. And then you even go with, you can even go with Sky Laughlin. Lawton, geez, I mess that up every time. Sky Laughlin's on XM radio. So but Scott Laughton is he's one that took him a second when that trade happened last year, and he's had some injuries, but like that's an effective group. So if they can get that Eej, I love Bobby McMahon. You could put him anywhere. I like his game a lot. But if you can get like a serious third line there, now I think you're cooking with gas, and that's what I think the intentions were when you put this team together. Brad Trey Living did. So I'm excited to see if that line can get some chemistry.
we talk about Nick Waugh, and I'm with you. I've always been a big fan of Nick Waugh. He's got some size to him. He's lanky. He can win faceoffs. He can kill penalties. He can be on your second power play. He can be on your second line. He can be on your fourth line. He's one of those guys you can move all over the place, and that's why I think those coaches you mentioned in Vegas liked him, and I think that's why Toronto was excited to get him. You played with a couple different teams. You had to make changes in your life. You were with the Devils, and then you're in Arizona, you're in Columbus, you're with the Rangers, you're with the Penguins. Like, when you do move, Mike, I mean, do you just need time to get settled into a new place? Because you mentioned Scott Laughton when he came over from the Flyers last year. He referenced that. It took him some time.
Yeah.
I think with Waugh and with Joshua, it's a similar story. You lived it. I mean, is it something or is it just everybody's a little different and some guys maybe need more time than others?
Yeah, I think everybody's a little bit different, but I think the one thing that it's easy to say on the surface is it's just hockey again, and I think that's what you're told when you come over. Just play your game, but there's a lot more that goes into it, and it's hard to park the human mind and just be focused on what's at hand as far as the game. But the gameplay wise, it's hard because you start thinking, and thinking too much is slow. It's a slow way of playing. You're indecisive. You're in between, all those things. So once you get that situated, it's a life change. I mean, I remember this distinctively when I was playing for the Coyotes. So I went from the Devils to the Coyotes, and I was playing top six, top two lines. I was playing 18 to 20 minutes a night for the Coyotes, and it was like, okay, this is my chance. And long story short, the lockout happened, so you have some time missed there. You come back out of the lockout, and all of a sudden I get traded. I was shook. I went to the Columbus Blue Jackets, where I grew up an hour and a half north of there. You'd think it would be the best thing in the world. I got on the ice, like, I legitimately, because I thought that was where I should be in Arizona. My practices, I was toe picking. I couldn't complete passes. I was in my own head. I'm like sitting there, like Gerard Gallant's probably looking around like, who the hell is this guy? Like, this guy here. But like, it was like no word of a lie. Like I was talking to people, trying to figure out my psyche, like as far as how do I handle this right now? Because it's like I forgot how to play, and it took a long time. And to the degree, like, that year was a wash for me. I couldn't find my game. So again, maybe I was handling it or not handling it the right way, but it's a real thing with people. It takes a moment to kind of find your groove again, because it's about comfort. And once you get to that point where you're not thinking, you're just going out there and playing, now everything's good, but it takes some time to get there.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's great that you share that story, because I do think people overlook that fact that, it's a big life change. It's different. For Nick Waugh was playing in Vegas for several years. He won a Stanley Cup there. He probably had a nice, setup there. He knew it. He lived in a nice place. The weather was good. He went to the rink at certain times. He was, and they're treated apparently very well in Vegas. I'm sure they're treated very well everywhere these days. The same thing, Dakota Joshua. He was in Vancouver 2 years ago. They made a nice little playoff run. They got into the second round. He was, one of Rick Tockett's guys. Then everything changes. Now he finds himself in Toronto. So I'm sure that there's, it's just a matter of how long. It seems like these guys are kind of finding their way now. So that's the really good news for the Leafs.
Yeah, and I think all that matters is that they get there, these players, and they will. And it'll take, sometimes it takes guys, honestly, it takes guys sometimes a calendar year.
Yeah.
You hope that's not the case for some of these guys, but you're starting to see them get into their game a little bit more and start to understand a little bit more. And it's a positive that this has happened early in the season. I know we say that all the time, but this is something where there's a lot of hockey left. I mean, there's a ton of hockey left. So I think the one main thing is just keep climbing all season long. And that's every team's goal. Now, some teams come out of the gates really hot, and everybody wants to crown them as being, this is their year, or this is a huge step for them. And then those teams maybe plateau and then take a dip, and then you don't know who they are. As long as you're getting better each day, it doesn't matter where you start. Eventually, you'll get to where you want to be. And I think that's what the Toronto Maple Leafs have to look at, because if they get in the playoffs, again, like I said, I think they will. In order to get there, these things will take care of themselves, and they'll get better goaltending, which they have gotten with Joseph Woll back.
They have.
And like those things it'll all just be natural progression. And then this team, because of the way they were put together in the offseason, you could look at it and say, all right, this is what we were looking forward to. But it's a long process to get there, and they're in the middle of it right now.
Let me ask you this, Rupert, because their schedule has been interesting this year. They had so many home games in the first 2 months of the season. Now they're finishing up a 6-game road trip in Carolina. They've got a 5-game homestand coming up. But like they seem to have kind of found their way on this road trip. Do you I heard Matthew Tkachuk talk about the other day, I'd like to start the season with a home game and then play a 10-game road trip.
Yeah.
And as a former player, do you identify with that? Do you think there's something to the idea of getting out on the road as a group and kind of finding your way together?
Yeah, I think it's all those things: camaraderie, new guys, getting to know everybody a little bit more. I think there's something to be said when you have new guys too. It's not just where you fall in hockey concept wise, but socially too. Like that's a thing. I mean, where do you if you could be a big bubbly personality on another team, you go to a new team, I don't think you're coming out of the gates exactly like that right away. Let's feel the boys out. Let's see how things are. So it takes some adjustment there.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe guys would probably receive that or reject it real quick, but you're trying to figure that out on the fly. But I just think that this is something that the road trip, it throws you in the fire. And I mean, it's sink or swim. Like I always wanted that. Give it to us right away. I don't want that. I don't want my long. And there was some years I remember having a long road trip like in January. I don't want that. There's too much hockey that's been played, and that's like a pivotal time where those points seem like they mean more in the dog days of the season. But give it to me right away off the hop. And we're going to see what we're made of. We're going to see what we're working with. We're going to get together on the road, have dinners, have some fun, create some memories. Yeah, man, starting the season on the road. That's why I found that even some of these, it doesn't always happen that way. I think this year's a prime example. Like the Nashville Predators had a tough start to the season, but the Pittsburgh Penguins went over there and to Sweden when they went over and played the games overseas like that. I was in that position before at the Rangers. It's awesome. Like it's long and your schedule ends up catching up with you later on down the road, but you get some things out of the way socially and the way we interact on the ice. You get that out of the way real early.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you about the Stars and how they're playing so far for the Leafs. Get your thoughts on Matthews. Let's start there. I mean, he's always, let's face it, the spotlight is always bright, bright, bright on Auston Matthews. And, I like more of his 200-foot game over the last 2 years or so. I think he just competes hard night after night from what I see. I mean, the offensive production hasn't been quite as it was the year he had 69 goals, but maybe he'll never score that many goals again. Who knows? Where are you with Matthews right now through the first 2 months?
We talk about everybody making adjustments. Like he probably has to be the biggest one because when you're losing 102 points and that's your guy, Mitch Marner. Like you can't tell me, and Austin's one of the best players in the league. So you're not gonna. But it doesn't mean you're invincible. That doesn't mean that you're Superman all the time. Like it all goes back to the same thing. What are you comfortable with? Who do you know? You've got this right-hand shot that you've been playing with that is phenomenal. It's seeing the ice and making plays. And now Auston Matthews, the way he's paid, the way he's viewed and league-wide, should be a guy that can drive offense on his own. And he is, I believe. But there's still going to be an adjustment period in that time. You can't just expect it to happen because he's Auston Matthews. So, it's you're right though, Each. Like he competes on pucks. He's been very good with his stick defensively. The goals, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he'll ever get that number again because that number is ridiculous.
That's a high number.
I mean, it's not like we're talking 50. Like we're almost talking 70 goals, 7-0. So for him, if he never touches that again, he'll still be in the Hall of Fame. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? So it's tough because he's one of those players that I still think is the best pure shooter in the game, but he's got a lot on his plate. And he's being asked now what I've kind of, in my mind, wanted him to be challenged with over the last number of years to find another level too and find another level with other intangibles, leading in certain ways, getting uncomfortable in certain ways. He's got to figure that out here right now. He's the man. He's the guy. I mean, Willie's been fantastic, but this is Austin's team, so there's an adjustment here for him too. And I think the biggest thing with Auston Matthews is staying healthy.
How about the chemistry with him and young Matthew Knies? Because I've just really been impressed with Knies last year and the same this year. I mean, he's a beast out there. I mean, he came in the other night, came down the left wing. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do this. He came down the left wing and kind of pulled up in front of Seth Jones, who's a big guy, and kind of just like posted him up and then almost scored. I mean, it was an interesting play. How about the chemistry with Matthews and Knies?
Yeah, I mean, Knies has been. It was funny because I thought about this last year too, and then kind of joked around about it. I think Craig Berube in the offseason was like, he's sick of saying core four, so he doesn't have to say that anymore. And I kind of feel like this is the core four again. Like Matthew Knies is a heck of a player. So he's just unique. He's so big. Like when you watch him, and this is I get caught like when I'm watching games and you see him next to some other players. It doesn't have to be a diminutive player. Like it could be a normal size player in the National Hockey League. And just look at like the thickness of Matthew Knies. Like it's mind blowing when you see him. Like wow. Like there's sometimes when I watch him play, I'm like, I know he's big. I know he's a tank. But there's sometimes you're like, wow, he's really that big. And he's still learning too. He's still learning too. And I think that's the biggest thing. And Matthew Knies has a much higher ceiling than I had coming in the league. But one thing that we have in common, and most big guys do, is it takes a little bit to understand that you can be a bully in this league with the puck. And if you can have a guy like him keep learning that and understanding that, hey, physically, there's not too much anybody's going to be able to do. Now you lean into that more. You start being that bully on the puck, and you start throwing bodies to the side to win puck battles. And he does that. He does that now. But it's only going to get stronger as his confidence grows. And his confidence should grow playing with Auston Matthews, because Auston has moments of, you can see that big, strong strength that he has, but his game's a little bit different. Where Matthew Knies, I think, complements even more so. Like those two guys should be a nightmare for teams to go against. If a puck's in a corner, both guys should go in there. They should be fighting over who's good getting in the corner to win this puck battle. So yeah, I think the core four is back. Sorry, Craig, but it's Matthew Knies is got a bright future.
All right, last thing with the division. Let's just quickly your thought on that division. It's tight. Tampa Bay has been on despite the fact they're missing Hedman, they're missing McDonough, they're missing Chernak, they're missing Point. They rolled off 7 straight wins. They did get beat by the Islanders the other night 2-1, so they had a really productive road trip. So they're at the top, but I mean, everybody else, you got Ottawa, Detroit, Boston, Montreal. I mean, Toronto is currently 6th, but I mean, you know, 2 wins in a row and they could be 2nd the way things are going. What do you make of that division this year, especially with Florida having so many injuries and sitting in last place in the conference?
Yeah, I mean, that division's, it's tough to predict, I think. There's been some nice surprises. I think the one thing that has evolved in the last, I don't know, probably month, I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are the best team in the East. And the way they've navigated through this has been very impressive, who they've been missing on the back end. The guys that they have stepped up, it's mind-blowing. We looked at it the other day. They have, without Chernak, McDonough, and Hedman, I think 2,600 NHL games. I know Ryan McDonough has like over 200 playoff games himself.
Yeah.
And then you start like kind of going at whatever, all the Stanley Cups that they've won. And then you look at their 6 that they've been running with, and those guys have a combined like 700 games. Like they're not even, they're barely half the games played as Ryan McDonough. Yeah. And they've been awesome. And this team, John Cooper's got them buying in. They are a stingy group. So I think that they are the best team in the East. But after that, I don't know what you make in this division. I don't believe the Montreal Canadiens are more than a bubble team. Now, do they get in or not? They have that on their plate and to figure out. And I think it depends on what some other teams do, a la the Toronto Maple Leafs. But the Ottawa Senators, I don't know what to make of them. I think they should take a step from last year. Have they? I'm not too sure. And then when you start getting down there, I mean, I'm always going to have this perked interest in the Florida Panthers just because of who they are. And I actually think, even though they're in last place, I actually think they've been fairly impressive with the amount of players that they've had out, and no one's really taken full advantage and put them way far back. Like, they're still in the mix here. So I guess my point is after Tampa, I think it's wide open. I don't think I can predict another team that's going to be in the top 3. So can that be Toronto? It absolutely can. But right now, I think they just need to start stringing some games together. But they should be right in the hunt there come playoff time with a bunch of teams in that division.
Yeah. Well, listen, as you know, we've talked about all year through the first 2 months, Mike. It's a different kind of season. There's been a lot of strange things going on. It's a bumpy ride. It's good for those of us, following it, because we got a lot to talk about. But it's going to be for fans. I would say buckle up, because there's going to be ups, going to be downs for both for all these teams, including the Leafs. But thanks so much for the time today, my friend. I will see you at the office, and appreciate you taking a few minutes for us today.
Anytime, buddy.
All right, that's Mike Rupp, Stanley Cup champion and analyst at the NHL Network. So you've been watching the Toronto Sports Rush right here on the Bet Rivers Network. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.